Hello and welcome to Newsmax. In a nation that has produced more than its fair share of heroes, Israel's Ariel Sharon stood out above them all. A legendary soldier, politician, and statesman, he served as Israel's 11th Prime Minister until he was crippled by a stroke in 2006. His youngest son, Gilad, has just written a major new biography about his father, Sharon, The Life of a Leader. Mr. Sharon, welcome to Newsmax.
Hello, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Why did you write this book? Why now?
Because I was exposed to so many stories that I heard from my father and that some that I witnessed during the years. And so Sharon, The Life of a Leader, brings the unique side, I would say the closest you can get, the intimate, behind-the-scenes stories. Stories that you can find nowhere else, like our endless tours on the farm, while I'm driving and he's sitting beside me, and we would go between the sheep and the cattle. And my father had very hard time parting from the animals, even when they were not productive anymore. So I would say, Dad, if it would be up to you, we'd open an old age home for sheep or cows that neither give birth nor milk. And he would just say, oh, give her another chance. And so all kind of stories like this, which I bring from a very close and personal point of view, are in Sharon, The Life of a Leader.
How is your father? What is his condition now?
My father currently in hospital. We visit him each and every day. We haven't missed once. It's nearly 6 years now, my brother, my wife, and myself. The definition of his situation is minimal consciousness. And that means that when he's asleep, he looks like a sleeping lord of the manor, and strong, big. He haven't lost a pound. He gained few. No one knows how. But when he's awake, he looks at me. He moves fingers when I ask him to. And that's a big deal for me. We wait for him to get better because we miss his presence. He's such a warm and loving family man, and we are very united and close family. We always live together on the farm, and we wait for him.
Your father was the leader who oversaw the pullout from Gaza. As you well know, many still say that was a mistake. How do you think he would view the end result today?
Pulling out of Gaza was a necessary step that he had the courage and the vision to take out. In Israel, there was a consensus that if we would have peace treaty with the Palestinians, we would not be sitting in Gaza. So the question was, should we wait for a peace agreement that might never arrive? Or should we do unilaterally what is the best for us? My father took, as a leader, he took the decision and executed. And I see no one else that could have, that had the leadership that is needed to take such an action and to execute it. And even Arab leaders in the area, they appreciated his effort toward peace. He is well known for fighting terror, the Palestinian terror, for decades. But he was known in the area, as Egypt president said in December 2004, Sharon is the only chance for peace. And that was after 4 years of continuing war against Palestinian terror. So they knew exactly that he would fight terror, but at the same time, he is doing everything he can towards peace.
Do you think Israel's situation would be any different today if he had finished out his term, if he were still healthy and involved in Israeli politics?
Well, I'm sure that our situation would be better, but the state of Israel is there forever, and people are not. And so, although I'm sure we would have been better, because my father managed to create wonderful relationships with other world leaders. In Sharon, The Life of a Leader, I bring the actual transcript of conversation with other world leaders. And so you have a conversation with President Bush, with Prime Minister Blair, with the Egyptian president, with King Abdallah, with the Russian president, and many, many others. My father knew where he was heading, and the rest of the world leaders knew that. As Prime Minister Blair told me himself while I was doing the research for the book in March 2010 in Jerusalem, he told me, I had huge respect for your father. He is a courageous man and a visionary leader. And so this is how he was seen abroad.
Do you think your father would take a stronger stance on the Iranian threat today than the Israeli government is taking right now?
My father was the one who set the Israeli policy already in the beginning of the 1990s. And of course, I bring that in my book, Sharon, the Life of a Leader. He was talking about that, about the fact that the Iranian threat, which is not only against Israel, should be handled by an international coalition led by the United States. In the visit at the Oval Office that President Bush kindly invited me on July 2008, he told me that he did not believe that any American president would allow Iran to have nuclear weapon. In that meeting, he told me, I admired your dad.
In the book, there are some very harsh opinions of many top well-known leaders in Israel today. Ehud Olmert is described as smug as well as arrogant. The current Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is described as a coward. Why so harsh?
I bring things as I know. I describe what happened, and it is what it is.
We talked about the great relations you had with the Bush administration. How do Israelis view the Obama administration's efforts at peacemaking? Is there any sense this administration is getting it right, that it's a friend of Israel?
Every American president is a friend of Israel. The relationship between Israel and the US are based on mutual values of freedom and justice, and we share the war against Islamic fundamental terrorism, and that brings us together. It's beyond the personal. My father, of course, had great relationships with President Bush. He visited him 12 times. One time he was invited to the President Ranch in Crawford, Texas. This was a very rare invitation. Maybe only Prime Minister Blair was invited there, as far as I know. And there, while President Bush is driving the pickup and my father is sitting beside him, as I describe in Sharon, the Life of a Leader, my father had a very interesting discovery. He found out that the Prime Minister of the tiny country, Israel, has more cows than the President of the United States.
How do you think your father would view the Arab Spring? Is it an opportunity for a new relationship with the Arabs to emerge, or could this be the calm before the storm? Many have pointed out the number of Islamists who seem to be taking control in places like Tunisia, Libya, and even Egypt.
Call it a spring is a little bit surprising, because spring symbolizes blossom and renewal, and I'm not sure that this is what is going to happen. Probably we're going to see more of the same, if not worse, because in Egypt, exit Mubarak, and now we have the military junta. In Syria, I don't think I have to explain what is going on. In Saudi Arabia, women might be allowed to drive cars in 4 years. We'll check that later. I mean, they're not sure yet. And so I'm not sure a spring is the right definition for what we see. And we have to be very careful because the regime around us might be even more extremist and fundamental. And so we have to be very careful regarding what do we give and to whom.
Finally, what do you think your father's legacy to Israel would be? How would you describe it?
My father will always be known as someone who protected Jews in Israel and all over the world. And in Sharon, the Life of a Leader, I bring all those personal and never told before stories and never seen before documents from his huge archive that we maintain. And you can find many more stories like that in my book.
Again, the name of the book is Sharon, The Life of a Leader. Mr. Sharon, thank you very much for speaking with Newsmax.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.